Okay, so what was it you went to CalArts to do?
I went there to get a degree because I was divorced from my first husband, and I thought I should teach, and I needed to have a degree in order to teach. But I also wanted to, because it was a multimedia school, and it was supposed to be a collaborative school where the different departments cooperated with each other. And I entered the school in order to get a degree and put on a performance, a creative performance, from my work called sonic kinematography, sound motion notation. And I used one composition that I now have 25 different compositions. But composition number 3 is one that I handed out for expression, to experience different medias.
And I was working with
performing dancers, choreographers, musicians. I did a poem opera to it. So multimedia kind of.
A poem opera? So is that a spoken opera of poetry, or was it is it actually sung poetry?
No, it was spoken.
Uh-huh.
It was spoken by 4 people, each with 2 voices.
And I hired.
There was the inner person, outer person.
Uh-huh.
The young person, the old person.
Uh-huh.
The happy person, the sad person. And the dreamer, the realist.
Wow.
And each of the 8 words, categories, had 7 more words with it. So they made a round of 8. Each one made a round of 8. Playing on this composition, sonic kinematography 3, composition 3. Anyway, yeah. So, but I was interested in finding dancers and composers to do a performance of Sonic 3. And I found a great David Mahler, who's an electronic composer, graduate student, and he did the electronic sound for it. And a young lady had choreographed for 8 dancers. And 6 months after I graduated, we finally put a performance on in the main gallery. They hated my work at CalArts because it was really.
We're still such good friends.
It was not a school that was teaching structure, or
something that's missing.
It was the exact opposite. I filled my time decorating banister rails, the black banister rails around school, one time with that composition, with masking tape and the black banister rails and masking tape to represent a grid, and colored gels on the stairs and numbers on every space. And I did 2 different banister pieces. I was about to do a 3rd.
So has your work always been pretty formalized and systematic?
I started to do this in '68.
Uh-huh.
I left school.
Did you go to undergrad at CalArts too?
I went to Northridge, and I just studied what I needed to study, and I left when I started to ask my own questions. I didn't want to answer the teacher's questions, so I left 3 years later, and I had a studio, and I started to ask my own questions, and I started to eliminate my choices. I could draw or paint anything. I could, there's so many things could do anything that any well-trained academy painter or artist could do. And I slowly threw away all my choices. I was doing flat hard edge painting. I went to black and white and gave up all color. And then I gave up all shape and went to circle and square. And then I gave up black and went to all white. Relief sculptures. And do you need to stop that? It's blinking.
Oh, is it? Still seems to be running, so we're okay.
And then I, from that to white relief sculptures, and then to moving sculptures. And then I became involved in motion. And
In what?
Motion.
Uh-huh.
And the Art and Technology show happened, and I did a proposal for a sculpture with 8 moving parts. And I figured out how to notate 10 minutes of time with the 8 parts moving on graph paper. And that brought me into the notation of motion, which I still am involved in.
So were you always trying to come up with your own ways to notate?
Follow my
As opposed to learning Laban, or you had no interest
I
in
knew about
in
Laban, and I knew about Benish, but I was interested in what I was doing. I did not want to repeat what somebody else was doing, but I also didn't want to abandon what I was doing. So I made sure that it was right from my own need to know.
Did you feel that the other notational systems weren't adequate for what you wanted to express, or
No,
was there,
I just
or were
wanted
you
to-
just interested in developing your own language?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
And it turned out that it could be transferred to percussive dance, like tap dancing. And then it could be interpreted for orchestra. I mean, the choreographer that I work with, she was able to write whole pieces, classical pieces for the radio rapidly.
Wow. What's her name?
Betty Potter, she's disappeared. I don't know where she is. But she collaborated with me on the dance notation part of it, which I never use.
What attracted you to the multimedia program at Cal Arts as opposed to another school, or did it?
Mainly that it was a feather in my cap that I could get in. I mean, I became really, oh my God, they said you got in, And I just felt that it was a school for me. I didn't need formal training. I needed a degree.
Yeah.
You know, and I needed to continue experimenting. You know, I've had great academic training in the arts and art history. I didn't need any of that. You know.
Were there faculty there that appealed to you in terms of people that you wanted to learn from, or to?
John Baldessari was there, but he was in painting, and I was not interested in it. But I was in multimedia, so Alan Capro became my mentor, and then my daughter joined me there.
Was his wife there then too?
Yes. Yes.
So did she have
was
an
doing-
impact on the dance work that you were doing?
No, I didn't know her as a dancer. The wife that he was married to then.
Oh, that wasn't Anna Halprin yet?
No. That was. But anyway, she was in the slide. She was organizing slides at Cal Arts. I met her. But Alan, I became a professional happener, and my daughter also. And I learned to do stupid things seriously. You know, always doing it seriously. And if people laughed, that's their choice. And if they said, "What is this stupid thing?" I'd say, "This is what I'm doing." Da 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 da. And I never argued. It was a great lesson in being able to do even dumb things. Yeah, I was there for only 1 year. And when I left with a degree, and I went right back in. I was always in my studio, just continued doing what I was always doing. Yeah.
So, did the work that you did then have has it continued? Was it kind of seminal in terms of the formulas that?
In an absolutely straight line. One foot in front of the other. Never varying off too much. Experimenting here and there. But never varying from the basic structure of what I was about. And I followed it in a linear progression and find myself in very strange places. and I try not to ever distrust where I am.
Uh-huh. So tell me about the works that you're going to be showing at Francoise Gallery that you're
I'm
showing
right
now. Yeah.
I'm showing an old piece that has to do with the language, a reading puzzle
Uh-huh.
that's framed,
Uh-huh.
that has the consonants as positive shapes, two shapes of the puzzle, and the vowels as negative shapes.
Uh-huh.
So you could actually spell with it. And then I have two other pieces, one in color and one in numbers, of a matrix, duplicated, so that it makes a big square. And the matrix is in a specific design equal to the part that it came from, the drawing or the big drawing that it came from. It's a matrix of like here and here and here and here. So anyway,
Say that again.
it's a matrix that starts here and goes here and here and here and here. You know, it's so repeating over and over again, and all dealing with 8 colors. So one piece is just numbers, the 1 through 8. And the other piece is all colors, 8 colors. And they play the same exact drawing. So you have to see it.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.